Hey, as you read 1 Corinthians 7 this morning, I hope that it produced in you a love and a joy and an understanding of the profound value of each and every human. And I hope that you were overwhelmed with this idea. God can use you right where you are right now. There's no other life situation that God is waiting for you to get in before you can be useful in the kingdom, before you can be valuable and loved. Apparently, the people of Corinth had sent Paul a question. He starts this by saying, concerning the matter about which you wrote, it is good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman. Now, this isn't a command not to be married. Rather, this is him saying, look, if you're living a celibate life, that's good. You don't have to be married. Paul was not married, and he's going to talk about this as the chapter goes, but people had maybe, and I could see this happening, and I wonder if you can too. Sometimes we so elevate marriage, we say, oh, marriage is the good life, man. You got to get married. Marriage is the best. Let me tell you, I've been married 24 years and change. Marriage is the best. I love my wife. I love being married. But it is not the only path that God approves of. And so people have written to Paul maybe saying, hey, I'm not married. I'd like to be, but I feel like God can't use me, or I feel like God doesn't love me as much because I haven't found a spouse yet. And Paul says, look, let me tell you, it's tov. It's okay. It's good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman. But because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. I hope you see the equality there. Each man should have his own wife. Each woman should have her own husband. That's rare in the ancient world. Like, this is super progressive of Paul. And it's absolutely right that if you're a husband, you should see yourself as a gift to your wife, and you should see your wife as a gift to you. And if you're a wife, you should see yourself as a gift to your husband, and your husband as a gift to you. Two equal partners, two beloved children of God in a partnership in a loving marriage. It's a totally beautiful thing Paul's talking about here. Verse 3 says, the husband should give to his wife her conjugal rights, and likewise to the wife to her husband. For the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does. And likewise, the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. Again, there's a long sermon or a series of sermons in there. But at the end of the day, Paul says, I love the equality. Same language, no different words. He says, husbands, this is true for you. Wives, it's true for you. That you are a gift to your spouse. Go be a blessing. That this is not about withholding and bitterness and power struggle, but rather this is about two equal partners in marriage. And that honors God. This is tov. This is good. So skip down to verse 6. Now as a concession, not a command. It says this isn't a command, but this is a concession. I say this. I wish that all were as I myself am, but as each has his own gift from God, one of one kind and one of another. To the unmarried, to the widows, I say that it is good, it is tov, for them to remain single as I am. But if they cannot exercise self-control, they should marry, for it is better to marry than burn with passion. Some people have one kind of gift, and some people have another kind of gift. If you are going to get anything out of this, again, would you hear me now? That whatever the state of your life is, God can use you right now. Paul says, look, I'm unmarried. I wish everybody experienced this. I'm able to serve the Lord and not give of myself to a spouse also, but just give myself fully to the Lord. And man, he says it's great. And also, if you're married, man, have one wife, have one husband. Marriage is a gift. It was in creation. Adam and Eve are the example of a God-honoring, God-blessed marriage. Certainly, there are beautiful marriages and broken marriages throughout the Bible. So marriage is a gift. Honor it as a gift. But singleness is a gift too. If you're in a place where you are unmarried, and especially it can be kind of painful if you're unmarried and would like to be married. But I want you to hear the words of Paul and say, look, there is no, well, if I just wasn't in this marriage, I could fully serve the Lord. Or I could serve the Lord if I just had a partner, if I just had somebody to be married to. But no, man, Paul says some people have this gift and some people have this gift. If you are single, it is a gift. Serve the Lord. If you are married, it is a gift. Serve your spouse, and together serve the Lord. Man, one of the most profound things in this passage, if we'll just skip down, and there's tons here, but let's just reflect on this for a minute. In verse 17, Paul says, "Only let each person lead the life that the Lord had assigned to him and to which God has called him. This is my rule in all the churches." Paul says, this isn't just for you in Corinth. I tell everybody this. "Was anyone at the time of his call already circumcised? Let him not seek to remove the marks of circumcision. Was anyone at the time of his call uncircumcised? Let him not seek circumcision. For neither circumcision counts for anything, nor uncircumcision counts for anything, but keeping the commandments of God." So Paul has said not only is single good and married good, but whatever culture you come from, whatever your religious leanings were you a Jew and circumcised? Were you a Greek and uncircumcised? You don't have to be different. Wherever you were when God found you, this is acceptable. Just serve God where you are. Are you single with no religious background? Serve God where you are. Are you married and came up in a legalistic church? Serve God where you are. Just serve God. So your marital state is not stopping you from serving God. Neither is your past cultural or religious state stopping you from serving God. God can use you. God loves you. It doesn't get in the way of your value. And then, he goes on to occupation. He says, each one should remain in the condition in which he was called. Were you a bondservant when called? Do not be concerned about it. Man, that is a profound thing. If you were a bondservant when you were called, bondservants were treated any number of ways. We might look at more like employment than slavery, and yet still, Paul says, look, you got a job. Are you a bondservant in a house? Don't worry about it. You don't have to be liberated in the world's eyes or a free man or own your own farm or whatever before God can use you. But he says, no, were you a bondservant? And he's going to go on to say, were you a bondservant when God found you? Well, if you get a chance to free yourself, then go ahead and free yourself. That's great. But don't wait to start serving God. God can use you right where you are. I don't know who you are listening, but God can use you right where you are. He is not limited by your age. He is not limited by your income level. He is not limited by your marital state. He is not limited by anything. If you would just serve him now. So, have you had excuses floating through your head? Oh, I could serve God if my life station was different. Oh, I'm postponing serving God. I'm gonna really serve someday, but I'm waiting to get my ducks in a row first. Man, just serve him now. Hey, beloved,